Hey guys, and welcome to the In the Mic of Madness podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Well, three of them, I guess. We have a buddy of mine, Slade. What's up, Slade?
Hey guys, how you doing?
And we have a very prolific director in the horror genre, Todd Sheets. Hey, yep. Todd.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me on.
And who do you have with you?
Producer Amanda Payton is here.
Hello.
So yeah, we're just gonna talk to Todd about his movies here. I think Slade's probably gonna take this because he is the fanboy and he's very excited. He's probably geeking out right now. I can see him fanning himself.
Yeah.
Or fapping himself. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, you can't see. You can't tell if I'm wearing pants or not. So
I can see that arm.
That is sweet.
So what's the one question you would want to ask?
Oh God,
you get one, man. Make it count.
Put me on the spot.
Go.
Todd, I absolutely adore your films. I really enjoy all of them. I've been a shot-on-video fan for quite a long period of time. I love low-budget filmmaking. It seems to be one of the few genres that still have a lot of passion left in it. And I think that your movies taken, especially with interviews with your cast and crew, I see that they really respect you. And on Dreaming Purple and House of Forbidden Secrets and other films where you've taken and given them their due on in the end credits and things like that, I mean, they seem to really enjoy taking and working with you.
I appreciate that. It's all about that. I mean, there wouldn't be a movie without all the people that are involved. I mean, every single person, they help to contribute in some way. And sometimes the films, even kind of veer off course a little bit from what you originally think, just because you have all these, amazing minds in the same area coming up with great ideas. And sometimes they'll have a take on a character that I won't, realize. And it's just really good to have everybody together. And it's, anyone that has an ego in a micro budget film world needs to seriously get a check somewhere. They
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're doing this stuff like with Bone Hill Road. When I first did the script for Bone Hill Road, before I did the Indiegogo, I was trying to find out if I could raise the funds myself, and everywhere I went, all my contacts in the industry told me, this is a $150,000 movie, Todd. There's no way you're going to make it for a micro budget. And that is a micro budget. Matter of fact, in Hollywood standards, $500,000 is a micro budget. But I was like, I really want to make a werewolf movie, and I want to do it the best I can with, I just don't have the kind of contacts to get $150,000. So what am I going to do? So then my distributor for Dreaming Purple Neon, as you mentioned, and for House of Forbidden Secrets, Stephen Byro at Unearthed Films, said, hey man, I do this Indiegogo stuff. And I was totally against the idea of Indiegogo because I'm like, I don't like begging people for money. It just makes you feel weird. It's like I'm on a street corner somewhere with a sign around my neck, will do whatever for film or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So I felt like it was horrifying, and I was like, I don't know. But I finally, I broke down because I really wanted to make this movie, and we got, $13,000, and I was like, wow, this is great. We're going to do it. And I pulled in a lot of favors, but I don't know how. The number one thing is you couldn't do it without all the people involved, all the people that, every single person's of equal importance, whether it's the lead actress or the guy carrying the cable to hook up the light. Everyone's equally important, because without one of those people, it wouldn't be the same film.
Absolutely.
So you have to give people their credit. And not only that, you have to be thankful that they believed in your dream and your vision enough to, for us, that movie and all of the movies, you put your life on hold and you sacrifice time with your family and you sacrifice time with your friends, and you lose friends and you lose people in your family who don't understand because they're like, quit being stupid. You've been doing this for 30 years, get a job. And I'm like, but that's the problem, is I've got too many jobs just so I can do that. And it's just, it's a living nightmare. And everyone is in the same boat, and the people who believe in you and stand there with you shoulder to shoulder, basically making sure that the ship doesn't sink. Because when you're shooting on these low budgets, like Dreaming Purple Neon, this will blow your mind. We did that on credit cards for $3,000,
Really?
And
wow.
Yeah, I mean, no one can believe that we're doing this stuff for this money, and it is insane, and and I think that's a real truth to that. I think that there has to be some part of me that's kind of cracked to keep doing this to myself, but I absolutely love it, and all these people that give you their time and their energy, there's something to be said for that, and so everyone deserves credit. Not only credit, everyone deserves kudos and massive thanks with all my heart for even believing and contributing in any way to this insane ride.
So I have a question when it comes to Bone Hill Road. When you were talking about the 13 grand, did you think about scaling back? Just only because, like, when I watch it, you have these 3 practical werewolves in it that all look really good. And I'm thinking, wow, you only have 13 grand. Did you ever think about just writing it so there was only 1? I mean, it must have cost more money to get 3.
Well, that's a good point. And there's actually 5 in the movie. And we had 4 different.
I didn't know if you pushed them out and did 1 over here and then you only had 3. Because I see 3 together. I didn't know if you saw all 5 together.
It's really weird, too, because in that shot, it's like it's hard to tell, but over it kind of on the side, and I don't know why this is, but like when it got mastered, like some of my contrast got changed. And so over on the side there, you see there was a 4th wolf over there. And then we had a stunt wolf that flew up and down stairs and flew through windows and all that. And that was
stunt wolf.
Oh, stunt wolf.
I like that.
That was my favorite part of that movie, by the way. We had a ball watching it, but I was so stoked that there were multiple werewolves and that they all looked different.
Yeah,
because
important to me.
When you see a movie with a bunch of werewolves, usually they're using one suit and compositing,
That is true. For me, I figured, look, humans all look different. We all look different. Why would werewolves all look exactly the same? I never understood that. So I wanted to do something where they all had their own kind of personality and do something different with them. And one of the werewolves that was in there that was really featured at one time, it was a 4th werewolf. It had glowing eyes that were really badass, but it just didn't look the person we had in the suit didn't look big enough for some reason. So I was like, I didn't end up using those shots from when they went into the steel mill area. But to answer your question, I didn't scale. The original concept I scaled back from because the original script was written, I don't know, man, back in 1991, I think. And it took this long to do it only because I wanted to learn more about, believe it or not, shooting these guys in these suits is a very difficult thing to do. And you have to learn to light them, and you have to learn to light them in the same scene with people, and you have to light them differently because the latex and the urethane rubber and the parts to light those it absorbs light in a different way than human flesh. So I had to learn how to light both in the same scene, and also on top of that, you had to learn how to shoot them because the first test footage, they looked like I was at Chuck E. Cheese. It was like horrifying. Need any more Chuck E. Cheese. So, yeah, I kind of went back and started doing, checking on how I could light these guys and do all that. But I didn't really scale back only because it's like, I don't know. I felt like I needed to tell a story, and I needed to tell this particular story in this way. It had already been through so many changes. And there was a time, though, when I looked at that budget and I said, what am I going to do? But the people like at Midnight Studios and the people from GDS Effects over in England, everyone was so crazy about the idea of me doing a practical werewolf movie when no one does them that they were basically saying, look, we're going to get on board with this.
Yeah, there's literally no practical werewolf movies coming out anymore. Even if they do, it's very sparse.
It's true, yeah, and a lot of times they're using like Halloween costumes. I've noticed a couple of them recently that
yeah.
And I liked that they're trying, but they were using basically what you could buy at like Spirit Halloween or whatever. And more power to them because they're trying. But my thing was I didn't want to do that. I wanted these to be really, really good suits and really good creatures that I would want to see. But at the same time, I wanted to make a werewolf movie that was kind of different. So these guys said, look, your track record is good. You've been doing this for a long time. We really believe in what you're going to do. And so they basically gave me these suits at cost, like what it cost them to make. There was no labor. They didn't charge me for labor. They didn't charge me for extra hours that they put in to do the hair work. And that was a big deal, because if they would have, the movie would have never got made, and they knew that. So I have to thank the effects companies that were involved, because really, I mean, they did all that work with all their hearts, and they believed in me. And my goal was to make a film that would make them proud, even though I was doing it for like no money. And there's a lot of things I love about the film. I know there's some things that aren't perfect, but when you're making a movie for that kind of money, when I don't even know how I could have done anything differently, really, just because we were on an insane time constraint and our budget was so low. And I mean, shooting the werewolves, these guys were in these suits. It was 150 degrees. They were like you
melting.
Yeah, you could shoot for 4 minutes. If you shot too much longer, they're going to pass out in there and fall over. I had werewolves like sitting there wavering and falling on the ground. So yeah, I learned all that, and just by doing it, but I never did scale back, just because I thought, well, it might have been smarter to scale back, but I wanted to make a movie with a lot of different werewolves, and I wanted to make something that everyone could be proud of, and there's, like I said, there's things I wish I could do a little better. And like the opening scene, I know everyone complains because Aaron, they say that his acting's really stiff and everything, but he was just basically an extra and a crew guy. He wasn't even an actor. But what happened was, like, the main actor that was supposed to be there, he was in jail. I didn't even know.
Oh God.
He doesn't show up on the set. And I'm like, well, where's this guy at? And he's in jail. And I'm going, oh, great. So Aaron got thrown into it. I mean, he didn't know. He wasn't an actor. He just was like, oh, I'm going to do he was the one that looked the most like a mean guy. Yeah. And we're putting him in there because we literally were thinking about canceling the shoot, but then we're off schedule already. And it was just, we had a certain amount of time to do this. And a movie of that scale, believe it or not, when you can only shoot the werewolves a little bit at a time, and then you'd have to get them out of the suits and cool them off and shoot a little more, and all the stunts and all the things we were trying to do and working around everyone's schedules, it was like a living nightmare, and we shot for 2.5, 3 months. And then, I also had to get the movie ready in time, because we had some screenings set up and things already that I'd promised for the Indiegogo thing. And that really also gave us a time constraint, because if you're late on your Indiegogo, people start raising hell with you, boy, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We had like technical problems from hell on that, so I'm glad I didn't take any extra time than I already took, because we were about 2 weeks behind schedule, and the Indiegogo thing was just like, man, I'd never done one. And when we went to our duplicator, this is a true story, the duplicator has the movie for 2 weeks, and I'm like, well, how's it going, guys? I haven't got anything yet. You told me that the artwork was good. You were going to send me a test disc. I don't know what's going on. Test disc comes, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden I get an email. Yeah, we're not going to duplicate your movie because it's the work of the devil. Swear to God.
What is this, like 1982 or something? My gosh.
Oh, this is true. And I went, are you kidding me now? Yeah, we'll refund all your money, but it's going to take a little while before it goes back in your account, because we have to send it through our billing system. And I'm like, what? So how long is this going to take? Because I need to order more movies now. And so then I just had to like eat the money and just order the movies anyway, hoping that I'd get the money back, in 2 weeks or whatever. It took like literally 45 days before they even started sending me money back. And they sent it back in increments. It was weird. And so I had to go ahead and get those started again. And we lost like literally 6 weeks of production time, not film production, but production time for the Blu-rays and DVDs. And then I couldn't find a house that would do both at the same time for the price I needed. And oh my God, it was just a living.
Wait. There's a Bonehill DVD. I mean, Blu-ray. There's a Blu-ray.
Yeah, there is.
Where can I acquire this? Like, I was so bummed it was only on DVD. I'm a big Blu-ray snob, and I really want your movie.
Well, I have it. Just send me a message, and I'll hook you up.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I hope that it eventually goes, because we did a Blu-ray for the Indiegogo, and then we had a limited run, and those are all gone. But I know that Wild Eye's going to do another one sometime in the future, but it might be like an exclusive for somebody like Diabolique DVD or somebody. Exclusive for those guys, but I don't know. But I've got a few left here that I have, I've taken with me to conventions or film fests or whatever. So I've got a few. So just let me know. We'll take care.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So Todd, I was the first one who ventured into this movie, and I will admit, the first time I watched it, I was kind of lukewarm on it until I got to the very end, with the Dude of Thunder. Can you just talk about, like, I'm a huge, if you can see behind me, I'm a huge Kiss fan.
Me
It's
too.
my Gene Simmons signed Destroyer album from when I was a kid.
And
But
I was telling Rebecca she needs to watch Dream Purple Neon too.
I have not watched that. But so can you kind of talk about that? Not just the Kiss thing, but obviously that shows kind of your sense of humor about yourself and your filmmaking. How did that all come to pass, and why did you tack that on?
Well, I've got some really good friends in a tribute band that's actually friends with Kiss, like almost Kiss.
Sweet. Oh.
And they are really
them.
guys, really cool guys. And, decided at the end of the movie I was going to do an homage to Phantom of the Park, the Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park movie, which was got every minute of it. And I thought, we're going to do that. So we did. And it turned out so much fun. And I said, look, we're going to do that at the end we're going to have those characters show up again. And they're on their way to a concert or something, an appearance at the end of Bonehill. And then they're going to get attacked by these werewolves. Even in Clownado, we have a cameo from Almost Kiss. It's
great.
Oh, sweet.
I'm looking forward to that.
And it's pretty fun. And that's the whole thing you're right. Even though I believed that the story was kind of serious and we were trying to tell a neat story, I also I was raised in a drive-in, and I liked movies that kind of had everything. And a lot of those movies in the 70s and 80s would cross all these barriers, and they would do crazy fun stuff. Even if the movie was kind of serious, they would also have moments of levity. And for me, I'm kind of like, I love exploitation films, and I love crazy drive-in, grindhousey type movies that anything goes. And I always believe that, who sets the rules for me? I do. So if I want to put Kiss in there, by God, I'm going to put Kiss in there.
Okay, so speaking of drive-ins, so this past summer, I live in Indiana. I live about 20 minutes from Shelbyville, and you and Linnea were at the Skyline Drive-In.
Yes.
And of course, I didn't get to go and meet you and see this film then because it was the first monsoon in Indiana history. It was insane, as you know. But I heard you're going to be back here next summer. Are you screening a film here next summer?
It looks like I'm going to be screening a film, but also I think I'm going to be filming in Indiana, in Shelbyville. Joe, who owns the drive-in, is an amazing guy, and everybody I met in Indiana were just amazing. And he basically said, if you got any movie ideas, let me know. And I've got one, and I kind of need a whole town, so I think we're going to shoot some of it there. But also, I think we're going to show Clownado there is the plan, from what I'm understanding. So that's going to be. And I wish we would have made it, but it was a hell night. I'll be honest. One of the things.
Yeah.
I'm one of those kind of guys that I cannot just sit by. I'm not a diva. And when the concession stand started flooding, I'm grabbing squeegees and I'm in there and I'm getting that water out, because I've been through the flood of '93 here in the Midwest, where my locations were literally underwater all the way to the very top of the building. So I've been through this kind of stuff. And so I immediately grabbed a squeegee and rallied the troops, and we got in there and started getting that place to make sure it didn't flood, because the drive-in was going to have to shut down. And so we made sure that didn't happen, and worked our butts off and made numerous runs to Walmart and got everything we needed, and just kept working on it for hours to keep the drive-in going that night.
So yeah, if you need another townsperson, I'll be there. So that is my favorite place to hang out in the summer, because they are such a champion for low budget horror and just keeping horror alive. It's awesome.
I agree. But yeah, it's an amazing thing there in Indiana that you guys are doing that. And the Skyline Drive-In, they've always been really good to me. They've showed House of Forbidden Secrets, they showed Dreaming Purple Neon, and of course they showed Bonehill, and we worked out a deal to get Linnea out there, and it was a wonderful night. And I'm just really thankful to Joe and everybody, Curtis and Charlie, all those guys that are part of that drive-in. And you're right. It's a special thing, but you know what? People there seem to love it because it's packed. And even that night, we're out there trying to build an ark. So in case we have to do the 2x2s, maybe we could get 2 werewolves on there too. And we're gonna have to build something to get us out of here. But even that night, the place was packed. I couldn't believe how many people were there, and it was a big deal, and it was a good time. And I did a thing where I had everyone howl when the werewolves showed up, just because everyone's trying to survive this horrible night. And so it was so funny. It was kind of surreal. The rain had stopped. It was still drizzling, but it mostly stopped. You're standing out there, and there's a little bit of break in the clouds. You could see the moon, and you could hear all these people howl from their werewolves showed up. It was pretty neat.
Now, Todd, like on Bone Hill, was there a conscious decision to maybe pull back on the gore a little bit from Neon, or because I know that you were taking and making a more character centered piece with that particular film?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is kind of true. Like House of Forbidden Secrets, I came out, and that was my big comeback after I had the heart attack, because I had a heart attack and almost died. I had quadruple bypass surgery.
Yeah, which is great, and I hope you're doing better.
Yeah, I won't let it stop me. That's for sure. And it was so bizarre though, because I was in there 31 days, and I said, listen, if I get out of this hospital, I'm gonna get back to what I love the most. When you face death, and I did have a near-death experience due to complications with the surgery, and I didn't believe in those, but I actually flatlined at one time, and it really does change your perception. And I said, I don't want to do things I don't love anymore, because my life is too short. And what I love the most out of everything is making movies. I really do. I mean, it's really something that I'll explain here in a little bit, but I love doing it very much. And so I decided with House of Forbidden Secrets, I wanted to come out and show everyone that I'd learned a lot and I could really do something. And it was a huge jump in quality from, and I wanted to make this homage to Fulci, and we got Fabio Frizzi involved doing the soundtrack, who's an amazing.
The soundtrack was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. But the thing was, I had the old school fans were raising hell with me. They're saying, Todd, we loved House of Forbidden Secrets, but it's not near as gory as we expected it to be. And I said, oh, you want gore?
Yeah.
Let me show you. I'll make the goriest, nastiest, most thing of my entire career. And I made Dreaming Purple Neon. And when we were making that, it was like we were a bunch of Bart Simpsons standing around, because we're like, okay, whatever we come up with, we're going to do it. I don't care what it is. If you come up with a better idea, let's throw it in there. So we were all trying to find ways to come up with these horrible ways to these gory scenes that no one had seen, like on the butt and all that horrible stuff.
Yeah, that movie was fantastic. I loved it. It's just it went over the top on so many spots, and Antoine Steele in that was he was great.
I just watched that.
I love him in his film.
I just watched that the other night. Yeah, he is great.
Thank you. Yeah, the thing I loved about that movie was insanity, and I loved the fact that we were just pushing the envelope. But with Bone Hill, I didn't want to put gore just for gore's sake. I wanted it to be part of the story. Of course, I'm going to always have gore in there, and I'm going to push it somewhere. And just like, instead of just a normal stabbing, we're going to have guts flying out and hitting people in the feet. But
your skin tears are fantastic. They're great. Like, I don't see anybody doing them as well as you on those.
Wow, thank you. That's the chunks of flesh thing. I learned that trick from Savini years ago.
Really?
But, yeah, it's a neat little trick. But I tell you
what. Did you
have
a mentor in that?
My mentor starting out was Dave Dakota, and he did the Puppet Master films, some of those, and he did a lot of. Dave's done it all, Creepazoids, and Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bolorama, and I love Dave, and he was like a very, very big help to me in the beginning. And also, just all through the years, being able to tap into Dave's friends, which became my friends, like Fred Olin Ray and some of those guys. And to this day, those guys are still influences and my mentor still. I still go out and see them at least a couple of times a year and hang out. And Kevin Tinney from Night of the Demons has become a good friend. And he just sitting down with these guys and talking with them, can teach you so much. And they basically taught me a lot. And so, yeah, I had a lot of, I started out in makeup effects when I was very young. That was I was a Famous Monsters kid, and I would order the makeup books out of there from Dick Smith and stuff. And I would go around the house making myself into a werewolf and terrorizing the poor neighbor children. Of course, I was an child too, but it didn't stop me. I'm like, yeah, I'm 9, but I'm the werewolf, and I'm going to take out this other guy. So I literally would have to climb trees and hide, because the one time I was a werewolf and I reached through a window, I didn't realize it was going to rip the screen. I was going to hit and it ripped right through, and I cranked the poor girl in the head. And yeah, I had the Lee press-ons on, and the next thing you know, the whole thing was bad, and the police were coming because some rabid animal was trying to attack a child, and I'm up in a tree hoping to God no one saw me. And it was really horrifying. So that's the kind of kid I was. So I grew up kind of doing makeup and stuff around the house and kind of getting better at it as I got older. And then I only became a director out of the fact that no one else knew how to do it. And it was my dad's camera, and I was making Frankenstein epics in the backyard. And I'm like, well, someone's got to say action, and no one, else had even read books about movies at all except me. So I kind of took the initiative, but that's how I became a director. I kind of wanted to start doing makeup and some people probably wish I would have still done that, but I switched over to directing. I fell in love with the process, the whole thing, and really when I started, I got to tell you this too. The reason I actually got into actual filmmaking, started out on Super 8 and then got to where I wanted to do some features. When I was a kid, I had a pretty rough upbringing. We had a broken home, and there was always problems with my mom and dad, and there's always problems at school. And I was that metal kid that loved Kiss, so I was instantly in trouble. And it was like a horrifying thing. And then of course Iron Maiden came along, and I was like, oh, that's the greatest thing in the world. And so I was always, that crazy kid, he's probably going to kill us all in our sleep. And so they I had a rough time growing up, and my mom, she went and saw The Exorcist, became a Baptist school teacher. That was lovely. All of a sudden my mom's a freak, and I'm like, oh my God, you loved horror films. Now you're a Baptist. I don't know you're talking to Billy Graham. Screw that guy. So everything was like freaking me out, but my life was not that great, but it became great because of going to the movies, the drive-in or these indoor shows, and watching like Phantasm and Slithis, and even the exploitation stuff like Blazing Stewardesses and all these crazy Chatterbox, these horrible movies that kids shouldn't probably be seeing, but they were innocent back then, and I enjoyed them, and that was my escape. And so I got into this also because I kind of wanted to give back, because I'm like, I love this genre. I love filmmaking so much, and I love the fact that it got me through some really rough times. Maybe I could do that for someone else. Maybe I can, in my own humble way, try to go out there and make this movie for $3.50, and someone will watch it, and it'll take away their crappy day or the crappy week or the fight they had with their girlfriend or their mom or their teachers or whatever, and they'll enjoy for 90 minutes. They'll just escape from all that crap. And that was my goal, was to give back, to be part of something like that, and hoping that I could ever do that. I mean, not saying I thought I could, that I was good enough or anything, just saying that was my dream. I hope I can do that for somebody someday, like they did for me. And people watch Slithis now, and they're like, Todd, why do you like this movie? And I'm like, because I freaking love that movie. That movie has a special place in my heart because of what it meant to me at the time. Is it a great film? Is it Oscar worthy? Probably not, but I absolutely loved it, because it helped me in a time when I needed help so much. And that's kind of why I wanted to do it as well, because I really loved the process, and I really thought, man, this would be so cool if I could do that for somebody one day. And so that's why I kept going, even though I don't know, man, a lot of times I shouldn't have. A lot of, like I said, I lost a lot of friends, and you lose a lot of family members, and people start thinking you're insane and telling you, you've been doing this 30 years, you're an idiot. But, every once in a while something good happens. And with Bonehill, enough people liked it that it got in Walmart. The buyers liked it. They thought it was a good story. And one of the things they liked about it, and this is a really weird thing because I've noticed it's dividing audiences everywhere, is the fact that I threw a twist in the movie. It's not just a werewolf movie. And I did that on purpose because I get tired of seeing the same movie. All right, this guy's out there, he's in the woods, he's camping or whatever, he gets bit, then he goes home, then it's the same werewolf story. Even if they try to put a twist on it, even Ginger Snaps is great, but it's still the same basic story. She still turns into a werewolf, and that's what you're following. It's an amazing movie, but it's still the same basic story. The only one that I'd seen that was kind of more like ours is like Dog Soldiers, and it's so funny when people yell at me and they're like, there's not enough werewolves in there. I'm like, have you watched Dog Soldiers? You're sitting there telling me how much you love Dog Soldiers and you hate our movie, but we actually have more werewolves than Dog Soldiers had, so I don't understand. per on-screen time, you know what I mean? So I'm going, I don't understand that, but it's really weird too, because some people are saying there's no werewolves till the last 10 minutes, but that's not true, because the whole first part is werewolves. It's only like a 17-minute deviation in the middle, and I did that on purpose. I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it, but I threw a twist in there, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to do something original, and it wasn't really about the werewolves, because the werewolves weren't the villains, and I didn't want them to be the villains. I've loved them. It's my favorite movie monster of my whole life, and I'm probably talking too much, but I'm trying to.
You're not.
No. Well, the beautiful thing about the way you set that up is that you always have the werewolves in the back of your mind. So when it does take that turn and you're concerned about what's going on, you're also like, the shit hasn't even hit the fan yet. Like,
it's true. And that's one of the things was big for me. The werewolves were just supposed to be like, they stumbled on that's where the werewolves hunt. Just like if you were in the middle of nowhere and your car breaks down and that just happens to be bear country. That's what it kind of was. I didn't want the werewolves to be villains. I didn't want the werewolves to be characters. That's why, I know there's been complaints about, well, he didn't even tell me anything about these werewolves. I didn't want to. Do you say the same thing about Night of the Living Dead? George Romero was a genius because we didn't know where the zombies came from. They didn't have names. We didn't know where those people came. We didn't even know how they became undead. We just, there they are. And it's not really important where they came from or why they're undead, because it was about the people involved. How did they survive that night, and what were they dealing with these undead things? That's kind of the same thing with Bonehill. Is I wanted these werewolves to be, they're there, they're hunting, they do it every night, that's what they do, and you just happen to be in the middle of it, and all this other crap happens, and they could be the villain, they could be the scary thing, or they could be the hero in a couple of scenes, if you notice. And I'm like, because they're not evil, they're just critters, they're just trying to eat. And that's what, that you stumbled on their hunting ground, it's your fault. And that's how it goes. And that's kind of how, just like in Aliens, or something like that, the aliens just they're trying to survive. They're not really villains, they're just there. And that's kind of why, I wanted the whole situation with the werewolves to be. And then I wanted to show that it was more about the people, more about the mother and daughter involved, and how they were trying to not only survive a horrible domestic situation, which is I was trying to make a little bit of a statement with that without going too overboard. I mean, I don't want to make it ridiculously schmaltzy, but I wanted to say, hey, that this is a very real thing that's happening to people. And then they try to get out of that. And it's like one thing after another. Like, man, you are having the worst day.
Yes.
It's the worst day.
I think that was what Brad and I said in the middle of it. We were like, man, these chicks just can't get a break.
They are going down no matter what.
Yeah.
It's
true. You know what this reminds me of, what you're talking about? It reminds me of a movie called Burning Bright. I don't know if you saw that by chance.
I did not, huh?
Burning Bright. It's about this girl who is trapped in a house. It's during a hurricane, and she is all boarded up. And so there's this level 5 hurricane going on outside. And then inside, some guy releases a Bengal tiger in the house with them. And she's trying to take care of her autistic brother and try to survive this Bengal tiger while there's death just waiting outside the walls of the house.
I remember.
It's just unrelenting terror no matter where they go.
That's cool. Yeah, that is really cool. And it looked
kind of like what you were saying. The storm isn't evil. It's just being a storm. It's not trying to kill you. It's just being a storm, and it just so happens that it kills you if you go outside. And the real terror and the threat, because the movie is kind of marketed, this way, and then it's no, the real threat's in the house, not outside the house.
That's cool.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's cool.
So, Todd, I was wondering if you wanted to clarify a couple of points of contention that we as a group had, I guess. I haven't really spoken to Jason about this, but listening to his review, he was confused about the female werewolf transformation, and I just kind of assumed the reason she stayed more of a traditional wolfman shape is because she's been bitten as opposed to a natural werewolf, in some of the lore. I just thought maybe you could shed some light on that.
A natural werewolf? Huh.
What I was thinking was that was first time transforming, and it was kind of, I thought it would be kind of cool if she, her first transformation is not completely complete. It's maybe she has to kill something, or maybe she has to do that first hunt and then she'll be complete, or maybe it's even in the middle of the transformation is what I was thinking, because I felt like I wanted to kind of make sure that people knew who she was as opposed to the other werewolves, because originally I was just going to have her look like the other werewolves, and I'm like, okay, but I want people to know it's her still. How can I kind of try to make it look like it's still her? And that was a nightmare to do that makeup and everything on her, because that wasn't really a suit. That was all done by hand, and it was a nightmare. And I was like, I wanted to be mid transformation. That was one of the things I kept telling the makeup guys was I want it to look like she's in the middle of the transformation, like she's not complete yet. And there was a reason for that, because originally there was going to be a little bit more to it, but like I said, since our budget was so low, we couldn't do every little thing I wanted. But there's going to be more to it, to where she actually by the very end is a full-fledged beast. But I didn't have the money to get that suit completed, just because it was just too much. I just couldn't do it. And so we kind of just stuck with this is kind of the halfway point for her, and she's involved. We have a sequel kind of outlined, and she's involved in that, of course. And you see,
yes.
and it may happen. There's a lot of people that do love the movie, and I agree that it's hard when you don't have enough money or time to get into those small details that I wanted to get into, only because, like I said, the guy stepped up and provided those suits for cost. And even at that point, those suits are still extremely expensive. I mean, you're going to spend more on a used car or less on a used car than you do on one of those suits. So we spent every dime we had on those and trying to make it, as good as it was. So this final suit would have been amazing, but it had to have the boobs, and it had to have the whole thing to look like her, and we were going to do this special thing with the hair and everything, but it was just not enough money. And so
it's because you needed 8 boobs, isn't it? The boob the boob budget ran out. I get you.
Yeah, that would have been pretty scary. Yeah, the 8.
Right.
I took it like that's just what female werewolves look like. When I saw it, I was like, oh, so is that 3 male werewolves, and then this is what a female werewolf looks like?
Yeah, I don't blame you for thinking that. It's just one of those things, man, where, it's difficult when you don't have all the resources you'd like to have in your story. And Jason, I got to give you a little bit of help, just a little.
Do it. I gave you hell. Not on purpose.
Not really.
Let me get the sores off of my back here. I've been beaten down so hard. Honestly, I got a kick out of it. I thought it was funny that you were so passionate that you had to ream on me. I was like, this little movie, you probably spent more time reaming on this movie than I did coming up with the concept, but that's not true. But
gotta watch my other reviews, man, then you'll understand. I fuck with every movie, no matter if I love it or hate it. I have to. It's just what I do.
I understand. if you can nitpick the hell out of any movie, even the
Absolutely.
Avenger. I like some of the Avenger movies, but I get so mad as a fan of those characters. I nitpick the hell out of them, and I stop myself. I'm like, hold on, man. You're missing the point. They're just supposed to entertain people, but I do that too. I get I can get down to the minutia. Captain America would never do, you get, but ours, the one thing I was going to make fun of, you said that Linnea shows up dead later and she doesn't have any blood on her, but the truth of the matter is that was 2 seconds after we shot the whole kitchen scene. So she did have blood all over her, and she still had the hole in her shirt and everything. I guess it was just her angle in the chair where she was slumped over that you didn't see it. But we didn't lose continuity there because we only had her on the set for 2 days, and we had to shoot all of her stuff in 2 days. And so after we butchered her, we just stuck her in the chair. it was
I don't remember saying that. Did I? I'll have to go back and watch it. That's funny. I don't remember saying that at all because I didn't even notice that. Yeah. I'm curious though. Speaking of Linnea, really quick, I saw this, and I'm probably pretty sure I made this up, but them sticking the fork in the nipple, was that a callback to fucking Linnea's lipstick through the nipple in Night of the Demons?
It's funny you should say that because there's probably a little bit of that in there because I'm friends with Kevin Tinney, who directed Night of the Demons, and so as a little homage, I'm sure we thought about that, and we're like, let's do that, because there were several ideas we had to maybe torture her a little bit, and we thought this cannibal guy should be kind of like almost comic relief at that moment, and so we were, even though it's dark humor, we thought, yeah, let's do that. So there's probably a little bit of that in there, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't consciously go, I'm going to do this exactly as an homage, but I'm knowing Kevin and knowing Linnea and having her there, just like her character was named Susie for a reason, from Night of the Demons. She played Susie. Right. All right, Susie Q. And so I always try to do it, like in Clownado, she plays a character called Spider, which is right after, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama. So do try to throw little nods to people from my past, my friends, and people that I've known Linnea 20 years. And so we were trying to throw little things in there like that. And even like the T-shirt for Dreaming Purple Neon, we were like, what is she wearing? And we were like, let's give her a Dreaming Purple Neon T-shirt. That'll be funny as hell. And we just thought, let's do it.
Brad and I, we rewound and paused on it, and we were trying to figure out what it was, and we thought we'd crack the code when we figured out what it was.
We were like, what's on her shirt? It looks cool. And we started Googling. We're like, devil, cowboy. You know what I mean? Like all the things we thought we could see in the shirt.
Had like one blurry screenshot, and we're just.
And I finally figured it out. Like we had the movie pause for like 15 minutes trying to figure out what that cool ass shirt was.
I love that. I still have that shirt. We're going to auction that or do something special for it for animals. I think because we always like for Bone Hill Road when we did our premiere, we gave 50% of the proceeds to animal shelters and people who help spade and neuter animals and things because I'm a huge animal advocate. And so we're thinking about doing some kind of an auction and auctioning off that shirt from the movie and giving the money to a charity. I thought that would be fun.
That's why no werewolves die in your movie, man. You love animals too much.
You're absolutely, you were out of the picture there for a minute. You were having technical difficulties, but I was telling everyone that the whole reason for the werewolves being the way they are is exactly that. The werewolves are my heroes, and I love them. So I wanted them to be kind of like, I wanted them to be involved in a way that wasn't so much a villain or anything like that. They were just a neutral animal. But you're absolutely right. I do love them, and if I had to pick, I'd have to say, even though I loved the leads, I'd probably still feed them to the werewolves.
Well, plus you guys wouldn't have the budget to destroy those costumes.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to get blood on them.
You'd have to
I'll
hold
tell
up
you.
like a bear, like a fucking stuffed animal, and have them shoot that.
There's never been an on-screen werewolf death that I didn't mourn. Like from Monster Squad on, it's like, don't kill them. They're too cool.
They're the best. Why would you? And it's so funny too because you mentioned that about the wolf suits being so expensive. That's why I'm like, all right, guys, even if this movie does crap, make this cool just because these damn suits took everything out of me.
Yeah, right. You can't destroy those, man.
Oh no, I love those suits, and I want to add to them for the sequel and have like a whole army. Let's just make an army.
Yeah.
Please do. I want to know more about what they are, a tribe, a pack.
Yeah. All that's in there. You learn more about who they are, and you learn about what happened to Dylan's character, after she got bit and everything, and you learn a lot more. One of the things that's funny too is because there was a debate, and I was kind of trying to go through folklore and try to realize how this works, but there was a debate about, why didn't Eli turn into a werewolf earlier in the film? Why did Dylan get bitten and she suddenly becomes a werewolf? And I'm thinking, well, we really don't know what's been going on before that. And there was a slight hint originally in there that we kind of took some of the dialogue out because I wanted it to be tighter. But there was a slight hint that maybe this house was hers all along, and she was a part of the werewolf family, and maybe this is what's going on. But then we're like, no, I don't know. I know this though, that in folklore, a scratch takes longer than for some reason, like a person.
Sometimes scratch doesn't even work. Sometimes it's only the bite.
That's what I said in my review. Is like maybe it's possible that the scratch doesn't take. We don't know what their version of werewolf is.
Right. And when I was going through the mythology of it, I was looking at all these different, from Germany, from the England, and from these different areas that had werewolf mythology. You're right. Sometimes the claws don't carry saliva, so they didn't work. But right. Saliva was the transmitter of the lycanthropy, is what so I was kind of following some of that guideline and thinking, and we don't really know what happened because the funny thing is, Eli's character, the mother, did get bitten at the end. And then she goes flying down the stairs, which was a hell of a thing to do.
I was going to say, that looked pretty damn good.
I just need to say that you heard it here first. Lycanthropy is an STD.
It's STD. We should put that on a shirt, man. We should.
Yes.
It'll be great. We'll put a werewolf holding a condom. It'll be wonderful. It could happen. It could happen with me. It'll be on someone's poster on the wall in the background, and I'll be like contributing it to you.
Right. A little special shout out to Brad Thornton.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing for me is like when you're going through all this stuff and you're trying to figure out what to keep and what not to keep and how to convey it to an audience the best way you can when you have 42 cents. It's like that's the hardest part because if you had more time and more money, you could really get into some of these details and you could really flesh out some of these ideas. But sometimes you just have to go, well, okay, this is what I got. That's what I can't do anymore. So
how long did you shoot?
We shot for 3.5 months total. And then we shot again.
Oh, wow.
We had LA to do the transformation scene and shoot it out in LA because I was told, and it's no one's fault here in the Kansas City area, but the people here were trying and they thought they had it figured out, but it kept failing and failing. And so I'm like, look, we're getting a little more money in Indiegogo now. The movie's finished except for this. Let me go out to LA. Joe Castro is brilliant. And I just talked to Joe. He goes, how's the movie coming? And I told him the truth. I said, that's great, except for the transformation. It looks like Sid and Marty Krofft. We can't have Puff and stuff as an animated. Let's do it. So he said, can you get out here? And I was like, well, let me see what the prices are for flights and stuff. And he also did me a huge favor and didn't take a salary for his wages. He just, I paid for materials and he helped me because we've been friends so long. And he's like, I want to see this movie finished. And so we went out there not once, but twice and shot more stuff, more transformation stuff for the film to make it better and to keep, because that was my big thing is I've never seen a woman in bright lights ever transform like an American Werewolf or anything. Hell, most of the time you don't see a woman transform at all, maybe one or two of those shots and then it's over. And I was like, I wanted to see it and make it painful and have some fun with it and do it on like $1.50. So we did. I don't know. It
looked good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
Supposed to be kind of like a painful kind of thing, and I thought Dylan did an amazing job as the actress doing it too, because you got to feel doing standing there screaming and acting a fool, twitching around, and there's nothing there.
I'm pretty sure I'd learned something about myself when she turned into a werewolf. Now I'm not looking into furry conventions potentially.
I think that anyone who doesn't think the transformation scene while it's happening doesn't look good hasn't watched much low budget horror.
Oh, I appreciate that.
That's the difference. Is like you'll have people who come in and they don't watch this kind of stuff and be like, well, that looks like shit. And I'm like, dude, they made this for fucking $5. Like, let's see you do that with $5. I guarantee you it'll look worse. Like, they're not comparing it to the cinema that we're so used to.
It's true.
So it's a different it's just a different caliber. You got to look at things in different ways. It's not $100 million budget. It's yes. If I saw that in Avengers Infinity War, like you brought up earlier, I would be like, okay, that didn't look amazing. Yeah. But when it comes in a film like yours, you're like, that looked fucking good, man. Because I know these guys don't have any money. How the hell did they do that?
It's true. And the other thing I learned was like screeners, like people who get screeners. And I just learned this on Bone Hill Road. But like I've noticed in the past, when I upload something for like film festivals or whatever, and I upload it to Vimeo, I noticed that Vimeo, when they condense everything and they kind of crunch it down, codecs, things get darker. Things actually lose their luster and they get darker. Like they lose a lot of the colors. And I think that's why it gets darker, is because the different shades of gray and blue are getting crunched. And so I always have to lighten everything up before I put it on Vimeo. And also the sound on there. I noticed that like it condenses your sound. And so your beautiful, awesome stereo mix that sounded so crisp and beautiful now sounds like a muffled turd.
Right.
So when people are reviewing the movie or whatever, and I didn't even have control over the online thing for Bone Hill that Wild Eye did. They did that on their own. So I don't even know what it looks like. I've never seen it online, but I know it has to be darker than the real movie because people are saying, I can't see anything. And then another guy's saying it's too damn bright. And I'm like, what are they? You can't listen to critics anymore. Because, like, first of all, some of the guys that are critics crack you up because you're just like, they're just really, it's really weird. Like they'll give you 3 or 4 lines and they're just like, yeah, movie was shit. Couldn't see anything. It was too, and the sound sucked. And I'm like, wow, these are things I know. Like when I was in LA showing the film for in Hollywood last January, after the film was over, I had people coming up asking me to do jobs for them for sound design. True story, because I had a lot of industry people there, and this guy from Paramount's like, man, you need to start doing some sound design for us, because I worked so hard on the sound design. But apparently on some of these screeners and stuff, and maybe even on some of the lesser, I don't know, like on the Amazon Prime or whatever, I don't know, but apparently it's crunching my sound. And so I have that to fight with too. So not only do we have no money and we have people's expectations that we're making the Terminator, and then we turn around and then they get mad at us for something that is out of our control because it's too dark or this or that. And that's not even the way the movie looks. It's just, unfortunately, that's how it looks on that version, which I don't have any control over. It's really hard. So it's hard whenever you've put so much of your life on hold and you've put a year of your life aside or 2 years of your life and you've worked so hard on something and you've sacrificed so much, and then someone can just destroy you in 3 words. It's just like, gosh, man, it's so hard. But you just have to, because really, let's face it, this is the only business the only business that I can think of where we're pretty much crucified the minute you're out of the gate, because you're like, okay,
Right.
You're working your butt off. You release it to the public because that's what you have to do to stay alive in this business. And then you're crucified and your film can be destroyed. It's kind of like if you're working at a grocery store or a retail store or something, you don't have customers coming up to you and like cussing you out because of the way you put the fruit roll-ups on the shelf. You don't.
Well,
You don't. I mean,
Depends. No, yeah, now I know what you're saying now.
I was working like Toys R Us, and I had some lady try to kill me over a Cabbage Patch doll. Yeah, I get it, but I think it was actually a Buzz Lightyear. But I was like, hell, calm down. But I mean, for the most part, you're in. It's a different kind of business because they're not going home and critiquing you as a human being and calling you a pile of crap and telling you if you ever pick up a camera again, they're going to kill your mother. I mean, they're not doing that if you're just like serving them a pizza. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different kind of thing. And so it's really hard, and you have to really develop a skin for it where, I honestly, I did almost quit when I was younger because people are so brutal, and they should have been. But I was a kid and I was making these movies with my friends in a backyard, and I get distribution worldwide. That was my mistake in 1989 but when someone you idolize like David Dakota comes to you and says, I can put these out on video, you don't say no. You say, hell yes. When are they going to be out? I can't wait. This is so amazing. And then they come out, and then everyone in America is like, you're a pile of crap. And then you're like, I really am a pile of crap, because you realize, but you don't. At the time, you're just a kid. I mean, I was literally a kid, and my friends and I were making these movies, and we were just like, yeah, we get to get distribution, and then we got crucified, and that was my first bout with critics. So I'm kind of better now because I'm like, look, I get it, and I super get it when I watch those old movies. Those suckers should be buried in them. I disowned everything before Zombie Blood.
I disagree.
Slade's commentative.
I disagree. I like a lot of your early work. It's fun. I can see.
Jesus, Goblin, come on, dude, come on.
Come on now. You were cutting your teeth.
I was cutting teeth.
You will take my compliment.
My wrist.
Take.
That was some of those early ones. I'm looking at that now and I'm like, what the hell what was I even doing? Well, I was learning as I went along because I didn't have anyone until I met Dave, and then Dave took me under his wing and he started teaching me, and then I got to be an intern on like Child's Play 3 and stuff, and I started learning how Steadicams work and the director's line, and that's why when I watch Bone Hill, I'm like, okay, I can be proud of some things, and people, when they say, camera work's crap, I'm like, but it's not really crap because I followed everything technically that I was supposed to follow. I didn't break the director's line. I kept the line of action. I did everything. I framed everything correctly. It just, maybe it's the version they're watching or whatever. But I mean, and like with Dreaming Purple Neon, the lighting and stuff in that, the way it was shot, I'm so proud of all that because again, we're doing this with the gear that I wish we had a Steadicam. You should see the stuff we're using to make one. It's unbelievable what we have to go through. Sometimes we were shooting this movie, The Muse, and I had a 2x4 in the middle of, which by the way was the most surreal experience of my life. I'm standing in the middle of a real castle at 2:00 in the morning with gangsters all around us, not in the castle, but they were outside the castle, like driving around, dropping bullets on the ground in the Midwest. And here I am in the middle of a castle, 2:30 in the morning, with naked people writhing on a giant mound on top of it, with a freaking weird contraption I made out of a 2x4 so the camera could like go in close but not go over because I wanted to start over the top of them and pull back and do all this thing. And I'm like, what am I thinking? I don't even know. We made this thing out of a 4x4 and a 2x4 and a couple of washers, and we got the camera strapped to it, and we're doing this stupid stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell am I doing here? This is the most bizarre thing in the world. No one would believe me. And but I tell you what, it looked great when we were done. No one could tell we used a 2x4, and that's the bottom line. Is who cares as long as it works, as long as it looks good. That's my bottom line. I wanted it to look good. And House of Forbidden Secrets, I know we mentioned it earlier. I wanted to do some really cool stuff in that one, and we came up with all kinds of contraptions, like when we go over the top of the girl that's being pulled apart by the ghouls or whatever, and they're wishboning her, and I wanted to like go over the top of her really smoothly. I didn't have a contraption. I mean, I had a cheap jib, but I couldn't move the camera down or anything. So I came up with this 2x4 contraption that it took 4 people to work, that we could actually raise and make the camera go over the top of everybody. And it looked like we had an expensive jib when we had like 2x4s that cost like $12 and duct tape. That's right. We hooked the camera on it with duct tape. It's just ridiculous. Use wheelchairs, whatever we got handy. We do it.
Speaking about your earlier films, I've got kind of a gap in the middle as far as films I've seen of you. I've seen a lot of your early work and a lot of your later work. I understand like you had some problems with Inglewood Entertainment at one point in time.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find some of those films.
About that.
I'm sorry if you don't want to talk about it.
I don't mind. I tell the truth. I'm pretty transparent, and the truth is that that deal was bad, and it was just I helped launch that whole line for them, and I don't know what the hell happened. Let me tell you this. This will sum up everything for you. When it was time for me to get my masters back, because we mastered everything to Betacam SP, which are these giant broadcast tapes that look like the size of a computer monitor. They're huge, okay? And so when you say Betacam, people immediately think of the old Beta. But this was like these huge, high quality, like Laserdisc quality, Betacam discs or tapes. And we mastered to those. And so that way we could film look it and not lose quality and stuff. And back then you had to film look things. I got a couple of movies on the movie channel that was owned by Showtime because they had film look, and it kind of didn't look like film, but it kind of did look like film. It was so weird, but it was enough that it tricked them, and they were like, cool, we'll take it. So my Betacam masters, it was time for me to get those back. Inglewood erased them instead of giving them back to me. Erased them. So all of my masters were destroyed for the old movies, from Zombie Bloodbath all the way up to like Shivers. So I had to go and take a VHS tape and pull it into a computer. And now I didn't use the VHS for the edit, but what I did was I used it as a guide. And then I had to pull original camera footage in, hoping that the original camera footage survived. I had to pull it in and relay frame by frame over the top of that VHS so I would know where everything went. And then I would have to go and find the soundtrack elements and try to match it as well. And the VHS was like my guide, and then I could throw it away at the end. So that was a living nightmare to do that. And that's the kind of people they would destroy a person's work and erase my only master because they were such, I don't even know what the hell they were thinking. They didn't even offer, I mean, I know like we split costs on some of that stuff. Like I'd pay $200 and they'd pay $200 for the master or whatever. But you know what? Then you offer them back to me and say, hey, license is up. And I know they made enough money. That's the other thing. I never saw a dime. I never even saw a report, not a single report. I didn't care about the money. I would just like to know who had the movie. So I go to Chiller Theater. I'm invited as a guest. I got lines of people at my table with my own movies, with my VHS tapes back in the day, asking for autographs. First of all, it was blowing my mind that anyone even had them. Second of all, it blew my mind how many people had them. So I knew they were selling, and I didn't care so much about the money as the fact that I could actually use that information for an investor and say, hey, Zombie Bloodbath at the end of the day sold like 58,000 copies. Why don't I have a single report on that? And back then, it was so weird because we had different versions. We had like the clamshell, and then we would have the slip covers that Rent Track needed to put them in stores. And Rent Track was a distributor we worked with to get them in all the stores, like Sam Goody, Musicland, different grocery store chains, video chains, Movies at Home, and places like that. So I would turn around and I'd be like, okay, so I know we sold out of all the clamshells. That's what the collectors wanted. I know we've now sold out of all the slipcovers, and we're going back to clamshells. So someone's buying this stuff, and I just want to know how many. I could never even get that information. So it was a nightmare experience for me. I went through a lot of hell, and Wade Williams was one of the partners there, and he was difficult. And I really, I in my heart, I think Ben and Brian were good guys and they were trying to do good. But it was just too much of a mess. And so, yeah, Inglewood, I don't know what happened, but a lot of those tapes got out there, and people are buying them for like $600 and $800, and it freaks me out. Yeah. And I'm like, there's a lot of that stuff in there, though, that I'm very proud of, because that was my formative years, and I got better with each movie. And like Violent New Breed is one of my favorite movies I ever made, ever. I remember when I made that movie, they said, hey, Todd, you're going to finally get to work with someone from Screen Actors Guild. Who do you want? Rudy Ray Moore. What? You can work with anybody. No. I want Rudy Ray Moore. I want Dolomite in my freaking movie. That's who I want. So we got Dolomite, and he was in the movie, and we became good friends. And I love Rudy, and that movie holds a special place because, again, it's been called the most ambitious shot-on-video movie ever made, especially during that period. And I didn't call it that myself. Just some of the reviews have said that, and I have to admit they're kind of right. Just because we're insane, and the reason we were so insane, no one told us we couldn't. I mean, and they did tell me all my entire young life, you can't make movies in Kansas City. You can't. And every time I'd pull out a camera, of course, someone's calling the police, telling them I'm making a porn or I'm breaking it. I mean,
You're making the devil's work, right?
Was making the devil's work here, and it's really true because they did call the police. They still do. We're on this. They call the police. They're like, yeah, there's dead bodies in the street. There was no dead bodies in the street. They just want to cause trouble. I don't know why people can't mind their own business, but in Kansas City, it's absolutely impossible. So it was really hard. But the thing was, no one told me I couldn't make an epic about the end of the world and the coming of the Antichrist and have the Antichrist be a chick, because I thought if it's anti-Jesus and Jesus is a dude, it's got to be a chick. And so then the chick comes crawling out, like a full-grown 9-year-old girl comes crawling out of her mom. We had 4 different effects shops. We had a guy, we caught him on fire. We blew up cars. We had effects guys from New York, from Springfield, Missouri, from Kansas City, Missouri, from Chicago. We had I was absolutely nuts. We spent like $8,000. And back then, that was a lot of money. We're blowing up cars. And I'm thinking, the day I was standing there and we set the guy on fire and I'm watching this guy flop around on fire and stuff, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then Rudy Ray Moore came in and I was just like on top of the world. And we did all that in the shot on video days. And I don't even know what I was thinking now when I look back. But I do love that movie. And I wish it was widely distributed. But the good news is a lot of that older stuff, it's been remastered. It's getting ready to come out. Wild Eye's going to put a bunch.
Great.
And I'm going to put some of this stuff out and I've also got a couple other distributors looking at it, and we've got some foreign guys looking at it. So that stuff's all going to come back to life. Not the stuff that I'm scared of, that I hate. I think it's been destroyed forever. It's gone. Like Goblin, I'm sorry, it's gone. I mean,
I've already got it. You can't take it away from me.
Well, if I ever got rich, I was going to try to go around and buy every copy and find a dumpster somewhere.
It's like Star Wars holiday special.
I'm so glad to hear that you're getting it distributed, though. That's really exciting, because there's quite a few films that I'm lacking from your filmography that I want to see.
The first micro budget company to ever do CGI stuff at all like this. What we did was we did Whispers in the Gloom, and it was about an alien invasion. And so we couldn't afford all the aliens, so we figured out a way to do it. It took a lot of time back then to do this, but we built the aliens in the computer, and they look pretty good, actually. I was like, wow, this is, because it holds up. I was watching it, and I was like, the story's good. And it's like Moonchild, we were way ahead of our time on that. I mean, it's like these stories are pretty good, but we just didn't have $1.50. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. But I had a partner who was really into 3D animation when it was new, and he was really, really into it, and he was pretty damn good at it. And so he made us spaceships and made us aliens and made us all this stuff, and it worked. And I'm like, I don't know how, but these things come out of the TV and they're made of static and they fight. And I'm like, I don't know how the hell that worked, but it did. We found a way to blend the actors in with these guys, and they fought them. And I just still to this day don't know how we pulled that off, but I'm really glad we did.
That reminds me of another film. Let's see. Have you ever heard of a movie called Mutilations?
Yes, I have a copy of that.
Yeah, it's great. Like the claymation, and is like kind of Harryhausen. It's great.
It's like Harryhausen on 25 cents. It's really good.
Yes, it is. It very much is, and I love it.
I'm with it. Oh, look. Zach. Is he back in the hospital? Our friend Zach Kaufman. He does all of our T-shirts. I'm just getting...
Atomic Cotton T-shirts.
Atomic Cotton, yeah. He does all of our T-shirts and stuff. The shirt you loved, the Dream of Purple Neon, he made that. And I guess he's having a hard time because of his... he's got something going on with his intestine. It's pretty bad. So I feel bad. Sorry, Zach, if you're listening, or if you do listen. I don't know when you guys are going to air this or whatever, but if he listens, Zach, we're with you, buddy.
Yeah, okay. Going back to something you said earlier when you were talking about how, you got so much shit and you got all this hate and you got death threats. I don't know if you were serious about that, but yeah, dude, I've gotten death threats on my channal as well. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that. I just from like 10 minutes ago, but yeah, I was listening to you talk about that, and I was just like, dude, I feel you 100%, man. Fucking people will, you put yourself out there, you do whatever, and you're just there to entertain people or try to do whatever, and they'll come back and they'll threaten you, they'll threaten your friends. I mean, I've had people tell me they were going to kill me, my friends. Like, it's fucking insane. You're like, for a movie review? Wow. Okay.
I mean, come on, guys. And I understand, like, if it's someone who worked on the movie and they gave up like a year or two of their lives and they really maybe lost a lot over it, like they lost their job from doing the damn movie. You don't know their story. And I understand sometimes when they get so passionate that they'll say something out of sorts. If it's someone on my crew and I find out about it, I literally go to them and say, hey, don't do that. Don't be that way. Because at the end of the day, we, personally, my feelings about you guys are this, and this is the truth. I don't butter you up. I'm just telling you the truth about what you guys do and other people like you guys that have podcasts and blogs and go out there. You guys are helping us. You guys are giving us support. Without you, there's a major problem because, look, in the old days, the only thing I love about social media, it's a pain in the ass. Let's be honest. Social media it's a double-edged sword. You can get your throat cut or you can be hailed as a hero. It can happen any minute. But the thing about social media is we are able to promote our films and connect with people all over the world that we used to have to pay a company thousands of dollars to do that for us. And now all it takes is our time and we're able to do that. And you guys are a big part of that. You guys are so important. And I don't think you realize, I'm not trying to give you a big head or anything, but the fact that you support our work and help get the word out to people about our work really helps us. I mean, and Jason, even with your 27-minute rant, and some of it I agreed with, and some of it I was like, dude, come on,
man.
You're just being a little bit picky, dude.
Give me a fucking break.
Give me a break. But no, seriously, you're still helping, and the thing is, so many people out there are so passionate about horror movies, especially horror movies and science fiction movies. There's a passion there that you don't find in a lot of other genres. And you guys have that. And you guys are out there and you're helping us so much. And if it wasn't for people like you helping us and people who watch the movies and are entertained by them, we wouldn't be doing it anymore because who would we show them to? And you could go out and you could work your ass off and make the best movie you possibly could make. But if no one knows about it, how are you fulfilling any kind of goal? Because the goal, like I said earlier, for me was to give back to the genre, to entertain somebody, even if it's just the smallest, even if it's one person that had the worst day of their lives and had a really good time laughing and enjoying our work and having a pizza and just smiled and man, that story was cool. I really had a good time. That's what it's about for me. And the fact that you guys are helping us achieve that, especially at our level, when we don't have the support of a studio, we don't have the support of almost anybody. And it's so great what you're doing for all of us. And it's so great that you care enough to take your time like you're doing right now. You guys could all be doing something else. You could be at the boat. You could be hanging out. Jason could be watching Avengers and nitpicking it. Anything could happen. It's just one of them. Right. And you could do anything but what you're doing right now. You're talking to me. You're taking time out of your day and you're enjoying this conversation and we're learning from each other. And that's what it's all about. And you guys are promoting this stuff and you're a very important part of the process. And people who hear your show or see your review, they'll go out and they'll buy the movie and then they're entertained, hopefully. And at that point, everything comes full circle back to my dream of that's all I want to achieve. I'm not trying to be a celebrity. I'm not trying to be rich. Who the hell's people who act like they're ridiculous? Just like those guys that go to friggin' horror conventions and say, yeah, man, my movie stars Linda Blair because she's in 14 seconds because you paid her $250 to act like she's talking on a phone. Yeah. It's nonsense. At least doing something like that. It's crazy. Come on, guys. Do it for the right reasons, not to be a big shot. Do it because you genuinely love it and you want to give back. That's what it's about. And that's what you guys are doing. I know you're not getting Cadillacs for doing this. You're doing it, love it. And that's what it's about. So I want to give you guys those props.
Well, I mean, the whole reason that I started this channel, I mean, this is kind of how this all came to fruition. I started a channel about 1.5 years ago, is I wanted to speak up for the little guy. I wanted to do a channel that covered films that no one else ever talks about because I look at Chris Stuckman or, whoever, these guys, and all they talk about are the big movies. And if they ever even mention a little movie, it's to do their rant shit on the movie thing. And I was just like, you know what, man, I'm going to start a channel no matter how small it is. And I'm going to give attention to films that people look at it on Redbox or they look at it on Amazon Prime and they're like, not going to give that. They don't even look at it. Like they go right fucking past it. And there's only been one movie in the entire time I've ever done this that I have absolutely said, like, I don't want you to buy this movie. I don't want you to watch this movie. Don't give these people $1 of your money.
Bonehill Road.
And that was because it pissed me off that much. And that was what was it?
Death House.
Yes.
We
that is
hate Death House.
That does not deserve anyone's money. I will stand by that till my dying day. Yeah, Other than that,
Otter? I
never would do that. It's the Expendables of horror movie that came out with everybody.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one I was talking. I haven't got
an abomination. I know that. I'm sure you take my review with a grain of salt, but all of us can agree here.
You can listen to our podcast that's, I think, entitled "Don't Watch Death House."
I would never purposely shit on anyone's movie for any fucking reason. Most of my reviews comment. Here's the funny thing about the Bonehill Road review to me is that the only reason that it went for 29 minutes is because I needed a Monster Monday thing. So I do a show once a week called Monster Monday, and I do another one called Slasher Sunday where I cover a slasher, in a monster movie. Right. And for them, I have to do a full spoiler discussion. And Rebecca was, blowing your movie and being like, "Oh my God, I fucking love it, this and that." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I went to Walmart and I bought a copy, and I came home and I watched it and I took my notes. And usually, most of the reviews I do are 5-7 minutes long because I just do a spoiler-free really quick, like, here's my thoughts on it, whatever. But because it was a Monster Monday review, I was like, all right, I have to break down everything. And my reviews usually have to last at least 25 to 30 minutes. And so I was like, all right. And so I kind of went through my notes and I'm like, how do I stretch this out? So I spent 3 fucking minutes talking about a flashlight.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I even make a joke in it there. It's like, you're fucking spending 5 minutes talking about a fucking flashlight. It's just so stupid. That is such a stupid thing to critique. And I was just trying to make people laugh and have a good time because I was like, I hate shitting on movies. I hate it. If you ever watch my reviews, I talk about that all the time. And I say that at the end of the review. I'm like, I actually kind of feel, and I don't know if you saw all the way to the end, but I do at the end go, somebody from the movie will probably watch this, and now I feel like a fucking dick.
Dude, I
don't like doing this.
Yeah, my tears were covering my vision at that point.
I do want to give a shout out really, really quick though to Christopher McCaleb. Is that how you say his name? The werewolf number, what was it? Werewolf 2 or werewolf?
I don't know. Yeah, he was one of the actors in the film. He
responded in my thread and he was like, dude, fucking reviews harsh, this and that, which is fine, but we had a really cool dialogue and he was, he articulated his viewpoints and I thought he was great. And I just wanted to give a shout out to him.
Well, and the thing is, Jason, I have nothing against you at all, dude. I got a kick out of quite a bit of it. There was a couple of parts that kind of threw me a little, and that was one of them with the whole phone thing. I was like, dude, that's actually that way the phone's made. What am I supposed to do about it? I don't know what to
I was gonna ask. I wanted you to refute that claim so I could go on here and be like, all right, I was wrong, and that's fucking funny. So that phone does have a flashlight on it.
It does, yes. I have.
I actually Googled it after. I was like, do fucking because I didn't even remember that flip phones even exist anymore. And then I started thinking of those disposable ones that they sell now, and I'm like, I wonder if they've upgraded them to try to compete with the phones of today. And I'm like, I bet it does. And now I look like an even fucking bigger asshole.
Well, believe it or not, it's a flip phone, and the light is on the bottom half of the flip phone, not on the top half. So it's down there by her fingers. And so I had to go in and enhance all that because you could see the thing, but it wasn't bright. So I went in and added a lens flare to it a little bit to give it some more brightness because her finger's right there. And then to make sure it hit the bushes, because it's a little bitty light, she's turning around and the damn thing isn't hitting anything. So I'm like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to strap this flashlight down along the side of her leg here and have her hold that too. And so
kind of right.
And she, like, because we needed it to be brighter, so we added a flashlight on her leg that would hit exactly where she turns, where it was like ridiculous what we had to go through to get that to work. But yeah, it was a flip phone.
My question on that then, really quick, is she has 2 flashlights in the car. Why didn't you just use one of those if it was such an issue? Like, use the flashlight strapped to her leg.
Well, to be honest about things that came from real incidents, people who've actually had things like that happen, and driving around out here in the middle of the country in Sibley, Missouri, and so what basically I was thinking is, look, she wasn't even going to get out of the car at all, but the daughter's like, can you please check? Because mom, just look around. She doesn't know the mom's going to go all the way over the edge, but mom's making sure that the animal isn't still there and it like wandered off. And if it was too hurt to wander, of course, she wouldn't have to worry about it eating her. And at the same time, for all they knew, it could have been a big dog. They didn't know at the time. So instead of taking the time to stop, take your keys out of the ignition, go around to the back, unlock the trunk. And she didn't really know the lights were in the trunk, which is one of the dialogue things she's doing when she's back there. She's like, oh, awesome. She finds the lights when she's back there looking around. She doesn't even realize what all's in the trunk. She's hoping that her old charger she used to have in the car got thrown back there. So she's like, well, maybe it's back there. So she goes back, opens the trunk, and then while she's there, she's like, oh, score. And she picks up 2 bottles of water and a couple, and she checks the flashlights to even see if they work. She didn't even know.
Like, oh, cool, 3 silver bullets.
That would have been really good. Look,
I forgot I had these.
She hasn't cleaned out that trunk since she bought the car, obviously.
And it was funny too, because the trunk was perfectly clean, and so I just had everyone gather crap out of all their cars.
Dump it in there.
I was like, come on, guys, let's make it look good.
We're going to talk about the purse.
You're like, who the fuck has a clean trunk?
That's right.
He was nitpicking about the purse.
Oh, you
purse.
Were
yeah, about all the stuff in the purse. I just.
Oh, I thought that was that was the
Amanda,
funniest part of the movie to me. I love that.
Amanda, I defended the purse.
That was I fucking was like, that was my favorite part of the movie. That's not mean, Nick. That was fucking hilarious.
It is, because and the funny part is that's really people we know as well. That's why it's like that, because we know people that carry around like an entire production in their purse. So it's like when you work on a movie, you throw everything you know in there, because of all the girls on our set, we always go, hey, if they have a purse, it's like a duffel bag. It's like, what? I mean, I feel like it's a clown car. Like you open it up and the stuff just keeps coming out. And I'm going, where the hell is this even? How is this even possible? They pulled a Steadicam out of their purse. I don't understand, because it really is weird like that. So I turned and I said, look, we got to have a bunch of crap in this purse, so when they dump it out, something falls on our head. We just can't have a checkbook and a couple items. So again, Amanda went around collecting stuff.
Yeah, a maxi pad and a pencil.
She could have used that maxi pad later on when she got scratched. She should have hung on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Rebecca wasn't huge on the movie the first time, and then she watched it again and was all I love it now. So I'm gonna have to, she watched it with Brad. He came out to visit her. I'm gonna have to watch it with them too, and then I'm gonna come back with the Redux review and be like, I was wrong, people. I repent.
Light on her nipple was just way off. I didn't like it.
I think the second time around, when I was watching it with Brad, I was like, wait a minute, okay, this is a really good idea, because obviously it's a movie in 2018. You have to do something to address cell phones, and the fact that the purse got dumped, and then you just show that the charger's still there, and I kept pointing out these things, and like the way the mom was talking to the daughter, and I'm like, and the daughter was like, the way she was kind of selfish. She wasn't like a flat out like caricature bitch, but she was kind of selfish. Like, what about me? What's going to happen to me? Like I was like, you know what? A lot of these things that are in this are really very realistic.
Rebecca definitely came to your defense right after the review, which she never does. But she came to me and she was like, no, this is why, and this and that. It was great. I love that. Because I'm fucking wrong all the time in my reviews, dude. It's funny because you watch a movie and then you go and you instantly record something, and I shouldn't say all the time, but there's times and people, man, you make a single mistake and people will fucking crucify you.
Tell me. I know. Well, it's funny you mentioned some of that, because it's like, I was a psych major for a long time, and so actually when I was doing that, was my first choice of all things. But then I realized I had to go to school 12 years, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I didn't want to do psych anymore. I didn't want to be in school for that many years. But my thing was I had all these books, these psychology books, and I actually went and started studying the dynamic between a mother and a daughter and trying to get into the head, because as a dude, a nerd on top of it, I'm trying to write dialogue for a mother and daughter. How the hell am I going to do that? I have a daughter, but my dialogue with my daughter is a father and daughter. So I'm trying to figure out how to get in the head space of this and do it in a way that was realistic. And I really put a lot of thought into that and a lot of care into trying to develop an actual, psychological profile for the mother and for the daughter, and to try to make it so that, the daughter starts out being selfish, but then when she realizes that they really are in danger, all of that goes away. And that, that's kind of important, I thought, at least for me. What'd you have, Amanda?
Well, another thing is men and women think a lot differently. For instance, a lot of the part with Eli getting beat up in the beginning was cut actually for time. And dialogue purposes
and acting.
But part of the dialogue you didn't see was he was sitting there yelling about, where's the car keys, because I'm going to go to my friend's house and drink. And she's worried about, what if you get pulled over by the cops again, you wreck the other car, we have no more savings. Women instinctively think about things like that, and I thought that was really cool that he could actually get in the head of a woman like that, because we're always planning ahead. We're always like, I'm not saying guys don't do it, but we're even more, especially with our kids. And I thought that was really cool, and it was really a shame that a lot of that got cut out.
Well, can't have people hell. I got enough hell about the opening the way it is. I'm cutting that sucker down to 42 seconds.
Yeah. So, and I can say, as the mother of a teenage daughter, you nailed it.
Thank you. That's the best compliment I could ever get. And I like that you noticed the second time through the details that we were able to put in. We did have enough time and enough, funding that we could do some details that I wanted to do. And I think it's great that you noticed a lot of that the second time. And it does take a couple of times on some movies to get all of it, because the first time through, you're just kind of overwhelmed with, God dang, this thing's going 100 miles an hour. I don't know what the hell's going on. But then the second time through, you start picking up on all these little things that we did. And especially the performances of Eli and Anna as the mother and daughter, I thought were spectacular, because they brought those characters to life in a way.
I agree.
Really, and what they did, they actually spent a lot of time together. They would go shopping together. They would rehearse together. They would just hang out together during the week. And we would shoot like sometimes Thursday through Sunday or Friday through Monday or whatever. And they would spend time together on top of that, just to learn each other and to know each other and how they, and to read each other's movements and gestures. And they really took it that seriously and put a lot of their whole summer was on hold to do that. And I thought they brought a depth of character to it. And that's why it kills me when some of these guys reviewing are just tearing them apart. And I'm like, hold on a minute, man. They were actually damn good. I mean, there's no.
They were.
They were very much.
I was proud of them, and I thought that they brought those characters to life, and the little details, the little bitty things that most people wouldn't notice, but as a mother, you noticed. That just makes me really proud.
Yeah, no, they're the best part of the movie for me. I thought that, especially the daughter, I thought she was great. I mean, that's what I was talking about in my review. They were very, very good for low budget like this. You don't get performances like that ever. Like, it's very rare. So I had to commend them for that for sure. So I dug the shit out of them.
Yeah, they were unbelievable. I was just so proud. And the thing is, they can both really sing well too. So I was joking. I was like, after this, we're gonna do Bonehill the musical. It's gonna be. So
I'm down.
Scare the hell out of everybody.
Right.
They could be the opening act for Almost Kiss.
That's right. That's right. It'd be great. We could do it. Almost Kiss are great. We're getting ready to shoot their scenes for Clownado, and I can't wait because it's gonna be so much fun.
Please, in Bonehill 2, include a werewolf with like white makeup crusted on his fur.
Everyone thinks it's coming.
I want the fucking Dude of Thunder to be like the dopest werewolf ever.
I was actually thinking about that because we saw him get attacked, and I'm like, it'd be cool to have him.
Yeah.
He wants to be a monster, and I was like, let's bring back a werewolf and put Kiss makeup on that sucker.
Yes.
With the bad hairpiece.
That's right. He'd have his top knot and everything.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
And then he can stick out his long tongue. There you go.
Yeah.
I have to say something to Slade. I know we're winding down here, but I wanted to say something to Slade, man. I want to thank you personally for the fact that you care that you like these movies and that you're one of those guys. You're one of those guys that I'm here for. You're one of those guys that gets it, and you're one of those guys that my dream was I could maybe entertain you one day, and I guess I did it, and I'm really happy about that. And you just like made my day, and I want to thank you personally for caring and for your support, and not just from me, from everyone in all of the casts and all the crews that I've worked with. I know they appreciate what you're doing and that you love these movies so much. Even Goblin, we're doing a remake of that, by the way, just so you know. We are doing a remake of that because
awesome.
Potential, but the original was just poop. But I think the new one's going to be even better. I'm producing it. I'm not directing it. Amanda and Alex are going to be directing that, but I'm producing. I'm involved in it, and I'm involved in the storyline, and I'm going to be doing the gore effects. So I'm going to be there. But it's going to be it's going to be like a real family thing here at Extreme Entertainment. But the reason we're doing it is because so many people love that one, and I hate it so much that I have to be able. So I'm going to make one that we can both love. That's what I'm going to do. But it's seriously, man, with all my heart, I want to tell you thank you. And your support means everything to us, everything. And I'm not just saying that. Without you and guys like you, and girls, there's no reason at all to do this anymore. So thank you very much.
And thank you for all your original films and your talent, man. I love your films. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Don't let anybody get in your way.
I keep trying. Everyone keeps getting mad at me. I'm like, hey, I think I'm going to retire. They're like, you can't retire. Right?
After every movie.
I've been saying it. Clownato's been the hardest movie. Listen, guys, I made this epic movie with all these effects and everything else for $10,000. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm seriously hurting. It's been a living nightmare, and plus everything. It's been cursed. Like everything, even the editing. Like, who's ever heard of sound files frequencies phasing each other out in a movie edit? Now in a band, yes, but suddenly my tornado disappears. The sound effects, I don't know where it's gone. It's like it's nightmare. So every night is a nightmare, and I'm still trying to get this thing done. But I just want you guys to know that it's the fact that you guys are out there enjoying it that I'm still trying to finish the damn thing. So there you go.
I would love to see you do some more anthologies as well, like Sleepless Nights. Amanda's segment was awesome. Antoine's segment was great. The possession one. Was Antoine the voodoo? He was? Okay.
Yeah, he was. And,
that one was great.
That's much that we do have another anthology coming out called Vault of Voodoo that is based on that character he did in that movie.
Oh my God. Awesome.
So it's based on that, and this whole series of stories are revolving around that guy. And then we have High Death coming out, which is
I heard about that one.
Part of that. Amanda did a segment, and I did one called The Muse that I think is one of the best movies I've ever made in my whole career. I'm really, really proud of it. And I could send you guys a link to that if you want to see it sometime. Just let me know. I'll send you.
Yeah, do that.
Blow your mind. That's the one I was standing out at 2:30 in the morning with naked bodies riding around with it. What am I doing?
Yeah, that's the one on Makeup Artist. He needed slime for all the bodies, and he shows up with a Dixie cup with like two inches of slime, and he's like, "Is this enough?"
Swear to God, it really did. Super sweet kid, but I looked at him and I said, "Really, dude? I'm going to cover all these bodies with that?"
Todd quit that night.
I did. That was one of my retirement nights. I did. I got done filming. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm retiring. But and also that whole movie was we originally had a hotel booked, and we get up there and the lady starts screaming at us. I know you all making millions of dollars. You're gonna do. She goes. I turned down a Transformers to film here. I know you got $2 million. You're gonna come and get. I paid double for the room. It's better than you'd get from the crack whore down the street. For God's sakes. Come on.
Man.
Jesus, that's where I'm looking at this lady. I'm like, really? And so then we got thrown out. I couldn't believe it. So then we had to in the middle, we'd lost 4 or 5 hours of shooting. We had to shoot this thing in 2 days. And we couldn't use any fancy gear. We just we could use high definition. That's it. We couldn't use dollies or anything. And so, of course, I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a way to make it look good anyway. Damn it. So we went to our studio building, and we took one of the offices that was empty in the building and turned it into a hotel room. And we put lights outside, and we had to have some poor guy sitting out there flashing the red light on and off and on and off. So it looked like.
Go home at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and tell one of my kids to get out of their bed, and I take their bed. They're like, get out! I gotta use your bed.
It's true. We took the kids' bed. God knows they didn't want to sleep on it when we were done.
Oh yeah.
Jesus, all the slime and nastiness in that thing. It was a really ambitious little film, though, and it's about a guy that's a painter, and he's basically trying to paint these paintings, and the perfect combination of what he's painting will open up a portal and enable the elder gods to come through. It's Craftian, and he uses like the blood of these prostitutes mixed with like the slime of this demon that's his muse, and he mixes the perfect mix and paints this picture, and if he gets it just right, he's going to open the portal. And so that's what the whole movie basically is about, is him trying to open the portal to bring about the elder gods, and Cthulhu itself shows up in the movie, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
I really want to thank you guys. I know we've been on here like 90 minutes, and I'm going to have to go, but I gotta go feed raccoons. That's honestly the truth. I've got raccoons.
Before you go, I want to point out the irony of the fact that I gave a less than stellar review, and that culminated to Slade getting this like touching moment where he gets like one of his favorite directors to fucking tell him like personal thank you. So I was like, well, I mean, you know, even though it's not the greatest fucking thing to happen, you know, it's just like it all made this happen. So I'm glad I did it, because I felt like a dick after, and then this happens, and then you're like, oh well, at least something cool came out of it. We got to have a good time with you. Thanks.
I'm not gonna tell that some of those words sting or didn't hurt, because knowing what I went through to make the movie, of course it hurts a little, but it doesn't mean that I hold a personal grudge or think badly of you, Jason. I think you're actually a pretty funny bastard. Don't let it get but I want you to know. I remind you a lot of my friends, actually, and when we get done watching movies, you're the guy that we have to keep walking away from in the parking lot because he's ranting for so long. But I love that about you, man. I think you've got a good thing going. Rebecca, I think you're incredibly sweet, and I just think that the fact that you picked up on these things in my film, it just touches my heart, and that you've given me a chance to be a part of your life. I think that. And Brad, man, you're awesome. You look like the Wolf Man. You got a great personality. I love the fact you got the cool shit behind you on the wall. Look at all that cool shit back there.
What's back there?
It's got Freddy Krueger. He's got some Jason and Michael going on. He's got it all, and that's what I'm saying. You guys love this stuff, so we're friends. You're part of the family now. You're part of Extreme. You know, we are good, and that's what it's all about, man. That you may have ranted like a crazy man for 27 minutes, but you know what? It brought us together, so it's all good in the end, right?
Yeah.
I to defend my review really quick from something that was said. If you want to see my fucking, it's funny because this, you know, I got attacked for something in there, and I was like, oh man, you're gonna attack my collection right now. Like, if you look at my old reviews, you can actually see my collection. I'm in the process of moving, so my shit's all like condensed and little.
I know that.
So go back and look at my real collection, people. Okay, that shit's impressive.
Much bigger.
That was the one thing I was like, motherfucker.
The whole thing is,
dare you?
I talk crap on my collection, you bitches. I'll take you down.
Yeah. I fucking love my collection. So check out my old videos and see my real collection.
Yeah.
Hey, I hate that. Half of my stuff's in storage too, and I hate it because I have like this insane collection of movies, even laser discs and stuff, and I can't get to them. It's horrible.
It's just terrible, isn't it? It's like your babies have been taken away from you.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I can't even rest because like all my stuff's not with me. It's weird.
Oh man, it's the worst because like someone's like, "Hey, you want to watch this movie?" And it's like, "Yeah, I own it." And then you go out and you're like digging through the boxes and you're like, "This should be all on display. I should walk down here. It should be 2 seconds for me to. I know where this is. It's next to this. It's in this segment of this part." And it hurts. It hurts, man, to not have that up.
It does. You sound just like me. Just like me. I mean, it's serious because I get so mad every time I think about it. I'm like, oh shit, where is it at? I'm fine. I'm never gonna. Yeah. So I agree. I when they went out of business, Hollywood Video, I went and bought their shelves. I'm like using their shelves in my living room. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
I had like the video store. No, you guys are awesome, man. I really appreciate you letting me
Thank you for coming on, and for real.
Yeah, man. It's all about that. You know, we got to stick together. You know, we got to fight the man.
Whether you want me to or not, I'm gonna go through and review some more of your movies. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna go check out some more of your work, and I'm gonna watch them with Brad and Rebecca. Maybe we'll do like a whole. We'll do. Slade will come on. We'll maybe do like 2 or 3 of your films. We'll have a night of it, and we'll do a podcast on some of this stuff.
Send you guys
That'd be fun.
Yeah, send us your new thing. We'll do spoiler free, so it's not fucking, going through the embargo or whatever that you'll have on us. Don't say a word. I'll kill you guys.
Hell, I don't care. So Forbidden Secrets and Dreaming Purple Neon. We'll send those over.
Here's one last question for you that I have. I want to know. Like, you said something about your new segment, this anthology segment, and being like, it's some of the best work I've ever done. If you were, to pass away tomorrow or something, and you were like, what's the one film that you would want to be remembered for? Like, what's your swan song? What's that movie? What I want to watch. I want to know what your.
That might be a film I haven't even made yet. I don't know. It's a pretty hard one. There's a couple of things. I think that it comes down to like the pre-heart attack and the post-heart attack. The pre-heart attack, I'd want it to be Violently Breed. Yeah. And the post-heart attack, I'd probably want it to be, as of right now, like Dreaming Purple Neon, because it kind of has everything. And it's like got a little bit of everything that I try to do now. Even though Bone Hill would really be, as far as something close to my heart, something that took me that long to make, since 1991, that one would be right up there too. So it's really hard because they're like your children. It's like saying, okay, well, if you were to die, who's the last kid you want to kiss out of all your children? I'd be like
Violent New Breed. Okay, I'm looking at them right now. Okay, so these are easily to get a hold of, or no?
Well, like I can send you guys that one. I'll send it to you I'll send you a link, like a Vimeo link, and it's the remastered version. So Slade will get to see the remastered version before anybody, which will be great. It's got all the extra stuff in it, and it's still, remember the damn thing was made in 1996, so it's not, the technology was so good back then. But I think you'll be amazed at what we could do, and we had Dolomite, so that immediately gives you a thumbs up review. But and then
House of Forbidden Secrets is the one that I'm most interested in.
Yeah, it's an interesting film. I'm really excited about the cast, and I think you guys would like it. Lou Temple's fantastic in it. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
It's one of my favorites.
I'll send over Neon also, so I'll get all those over to you, and I'll send you the Muse so you can check that out. Crazy movie. And the thing is, I made that. It's taken 3 years to get that out, to get High Def done, because so many people were involved.
January.
Yeah, no. It comes out like February or something. Yeah. So it's gonna be fun.
Sweet.
Cool. Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And definitely hit me up, and I'll get the stuff sent over to you. You got all the Facebooks? I may have to friend you guys.
I think you're on the Unearthed forum, right?
Yeah.
And that's great. I'll hit you up on there.
Everybody hit me up. I'm right. If you see Paddington Bear, that's the one I use the most because the other one got.
Paddington Bear, Brad. I was just telling him that Paddington 2 is like my top 10 of the year, and he was fucking blasting me, being like, "It's the fucking gayest shit ever. Fuck Paddington and all this." And I'm like, "No way, man! Paddington's fucking awesome. That movie's amazing.
That's my favorite movie of the year. Swear to God."
No, dude, it's fucking amazing. And he's like, "Dude, what the fuck? What it could possibly do?" Blah blah. I'm like, "Dude, you are not kidding you. The movie is fucking amazing. I never thought it'd be better than the first
Bear
one."
I've ever seen was on HBO, and it's super fucking dry, and you're just obsessed with marmalade, and I don't get it.
No, when I went into that, I was like, "There's no way it can be better than the first Paddington," because that was the biggest surprise of that year. And I was like, it's just going to be, it's going to be some pointless sequel, this and that. I went in and I was like, I can't believe this is much better than the first. And I love the first.
Well, Paddington is just a British Winnie the Pooh. Traded honey from Emily.
You just said that too, because my second favorite movie of the year is Christopher Robin. So there you go. Honest to God, Paddington 2 is made like old school movies. They don't even make movies like that with the cool big musical numbers and all the huge set design. And it had so much heart. It was so well written. A lot of good humor. I think it was probably the best movie of the year. Yeah, I love it. I love everything. It's weird that you said that, Jason. See, we're more alike than you realize. It's really freaky.
Yeah.
My kids, I saw with my kids, and I mean that barber scene, man, they were literally like falling out of their chairs. It was it's a magical moment, but I was laughing my ass off too. It's such a fucking great movie.
It really is. I wish they did more movies like that. And that's unbelievable. And I thought Christopher Robin was great too, for many of the same reasons. The performances, it had a lot of good magical moments in it, and it was made like an old school movie. Like they don't make those anymore, unfortunately. And so I'm glad someone's still doing at least some of those kind of movies, and that made me happy. Yeah, I agree with you.
The difference between Paddington and Christopher Robin, though, for me, is that Christopher Robin is really not for kids. True. It really speaks to like grown-ups who have lost that child inside of themselves. And it's like making you remember that kid you used to be and kind of cutting through all the bullshit of life and being like bringing you back to that childish part of yourself that you forgot about. And I love the movie, but I was just like, I took my kids and they were bored out of their minds.
At least they didn't want to kill themselves after. I've gotten some Happy Feet with my daughter, and I thought she was going to kill herself in the movie. She was so
Happy Feet just hanging above a knocked over stool.
Unhappy feet. Send them like a picture of your kids hanging feet and be like, these are unhappy feet.
Thanks a lot for your happy feet, you dirty.
That's the first thing I walked in and saw. My kids' unhappy feet. Swinging.
Oh
They ran away from home to join the French Foreign Legion, you freaks.
With Van Damme.
That's right, with Von Damme, who still can't talk worth a damn.
No.
Good dates, guys. I love this. Thank you so much. I really had a good time.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank
We had a
you.
great time, too.
Yeah.
Everyone hit me up on the Facebook. Oh, and I was going to tell you the other one that has the Batman picture. That's something I wanted to tell you guys about. That's actually me in that bat suit. Because I did stuff for charity for kids and I used to do it for promotion. That's Michael Keaton's cowl. And for some reason, he had the same size head as me. When I put that sucker on, I look like Michael Keaton in that shit. Look at you! This guy. Love
That's
it.
right. I'm deleting my review
Oh, wait,
right now.
wait, now I
Fuck outta
forgot he
here.
had to wear a shirt.
I got a
He's got to one up me.
Got turned
Well,
off.
my Bone Hill Road review is gonna just mysteriously vanish from the internet, and then you're gonna get like keep blowing the movie.
I absolutely,
My best friend directed this movie, and it's amazing. And anyone says any different, I'll fucking kill him.
Yeah.
you ever said a bad thing, you're dead.
That flashlight scene's amazing.
I told you that phone had 3 flashlights on it.
Yeah, right. I have the very one right here from the set.
I can send it to you. We have it.
Look how bright this. Yeah, that would be amazing. If I had the fucking phone and I went on and I did like a total like I was wrong.
Yes.
Here it is, and I'll go out at night and like fucking night.
Oh my god.
Yes. I love the Keaton cowl, and my buddy at Warner Brothers, he found the mold for it, so he poured it for me out of urethane and he sent it to me. And so I built a whole suit to go with it. This out of actual body armor, like Kevlar. It weighs like 85 pounds. And I did like stuff for kids' charities and stuff in that. And I'd work for like AMC and do the premieres for Batman and stuff and try to, hang out with the kids and take all these pictures. It's a lot of fun. And but my friend was killed, and that was my way of dealing with that. When he passed away, I made that bat suit as my therapy. So that's why the other one has that picture of Batman. It's actually me. But that's the one what I'm trying to get to is that's one you don't need to sign up to because it's already full. So sign up to the other one with the Paddington Bear.
Yeah, I've already sent my request.
Cool.
I can tell you a quick story that'll make you jealous, and then it'll make you hate me even more. It was when I was a kid. This is a story that some people think is bullshit. It's true, but whatever. When I was a kid, I actually knew Bucky Moore. He was a neighbor, and my friends were friends with his kids. And he's the guy who did the masks for Halloween 4. And
Sweet.
when I was a kid, he had this huge crush on my mother, like everybody. And he was trying to schmooze into the house, and he brought one over one day, and he actually fucking gave me it. And I was like, holy shit. I was a kid. I was such a small kid. I was like 9 years old. He gave it to me and my brother Greg. And then my brother Greg gave it to me because he got to a certain age and he was like, I don't care about Halloween anymore. You can have it. And me being a dumb kid, I wore it all the time. And I was just like, yeah, it's my mask. And eventually, wearing it all the time, it fell apart. And I hate myself now that I'm a man. And I'm like, why would you wear it? Why would you not go out and get it fucking like, what is that? Hermetically sealed? How do you say that? Is that how you say that?
Hermaphroditically sealed.
That is not it. That is not it.
Could have put it in and sealed it all up and everything. Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate myself for that. So, and it's one of those stories you tell, and it's like it's my story to tell, but then there's no proof of it now, and so people are like, "You're a liar," and I'm like, "Oh, it's such a cool story. You want to tell it, but then people are going to be like, it's bullshit. And it's like, but it's not. I'm such an asshole for fucking. So I get, yeah, it's cool about.
Don't feel bad about it because the whole point he gave it to you was to enjoy, and you really did. I mean,
you did enjoy it.
Well, when Jason gets that phone, he's activating it, and it's going to be his primary.
That's going to be my phone from now on. I'm gonna use it.
People.
Yeah, that's fun. So,
that story's great, by the way. Don't be afraid to tell it because the fact that you wore that sucker makes me the proudest of you. You could have stuck it in a glass case, but it's better because you actually wore the hell out of it. There's a lot of things in my life that are that way. You know, I'm like, God, I wish I still had that, but I used the shit out of it. It's gone. It's never going to come back. But
you gotta play with your toys.
Yeah, you
gotta take them out of the package.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. Enjoy. That's what it's about. All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful night.
All right, you too.
So much.
See you later.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Hey.